Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Business Housing Zoning Committee for November 19, 2024. I'm Jamal Osman, and I'm the chair of this committee. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members, staff, and the public that this meeting are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. This broadcast includes real-time captioning as further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and the clarity of their comments. Colleagues, I would like to note that our agenda is very full today, and we need to adjourn no later than 4 p.m. We'll be using name tags or so please make sure you are put this up if you want to speak and participate. At this meeting, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins.
Present.
Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Ellison.
Here.
Chair Osman.
Present.
There are 6 members present.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. Consent agenda items 7 through 24 are consent agenda. Item 7 is 5 liquor license approvals. Item 8 is 3 liquor license renewals. Item 9 is legislative directive regarding affordable housing trust fund options and prioritization. Item 10 is authorizing exclusive development rights for Wolfpack professionals. Item 11 is authorizing a land for conveniency for Arbor Harbor development. Item 12 is authorizing an ownership opportunity fund loan for 4010 East Holdings. Item 13 is authorizing 11 agreements for Great Street facade improvement grant programs funding. Item 14 is authorizing a contract amendment with Project for Bright Living. Item 15 is approving 2 MPHA board appointments. Item 16 is approving 5 Heritage Preservation Commission appointments and reappointments. Item 17 is approving 12 Minneapolis Advisory Committee on Housing appointments. Item 18 is approving a street vacation for 800 Tyler Northeast. Item 19 is setting a public hearing for January 7, 2025 for City Planning Commission appointments. Item 20 is setting a public hearing for January 7, 2025 for the Service Animal Ordinance. Item 21 is referring to staff the Safe Outdoor Space, Housing, and Building Ordinance. Item 22 is referring to staff a Safe Outdoor Space, a zoning ordinance. Item 23 is directing the City Attorney Office to prepare a draft ordinance on safe outdoor spaces. Item 24 is referring to staff the Tobacco Product Location Restriction Ordinance. Staff have requested that we will pull Kristen Birch appointment off the agenda for today. I will ask Joe Dobson briefly explain to that.
Thank you, Chair Osman and council members. This is just a brief update to let you know for the Housing Advisory Committee. One of the applicants has taken a different job since applying for the committee and so has rescinded their application. This is for seat number 9 of the Housing Advisory Committee. So this is a mayoral appointment subject to this committee's approval. But this time we would just ask that person's application be rescinded and removed from this agenda, but no changes to the remainder of the item.
Thank you so much. Would anyone like to pull any items or have any discussion? I'll go with Councilmember Cashman first.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I did want to ask a question about item number 15, the Great Streets Facade Improvement Grant Program. I'm not sure if Director Hansen would be able to answer this question, but I was looking through the awardees and I saw that African Economic Development Solutions applied for citywide administration. They requested $50,000, but were not awarded any. So I'm wondering if there will still be any funds for citywide facade improvements eligible in next year's round.
Chair Osman, Councilmember Cashman, I'd like to defer to Mr. Mercer for the answer to that question.
Chair Osman, Councilmember Cashman, my name is Miles Mercer. I'm the manager of the Business Development Group in CPED and oversee the facade program. The African Economic Development Solutions has an existing facade contract from last year, and they hadn't deployed enough of the contract to be an eligible applicant this year, and so that's why we're not awarding new funds this year. But there is funds available for projects that are not currently covered by one of the administrators, but are in other Great Streets designated areas across the city.
Okay, thanks. I'm specifically thinking about 19th and Nicollet, our favorite commercial corridor that borders Ward 6 and Ward 7, and they don't have a formal business association representation, and so I think these businesses would really benefit from being able to apply. So how would they actually access the African Economic Development Solutions grants?
Yep. Chair Osman, Councilmember Cashman, for if the locations of the businesses are located in a Great Streets designated area, they can reach out to city staff, someone on my team, who then will put them in touch with African Economic Development Solutions, or they can reach out to African Economic Development Solutions directly, and we can facilitate that application and review process.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you. Just wanted to briefly comment on item number 10. This is an item that related to West Broadway, and just wanted to thank staff for their work in making sure that we are working diligently towards more local community ownership of the corridor. There's a lot going on West Broadway, and I know that as exciting as it is for us as a city and neighbors, it's also can be a little bit scary to see so much like these Blue Line conversations and other economic development opportunities occurring if neighbors don't feel like they've got access to it. And so, going to embarrass KB Brown, a young man in my ward. He's older than me, but he runs Wolfpack Promotions, and he's a fantastic business owner. And so I'm glad that he is going to get a chance to get exclusive development rights along the corridor that I know he loves. I know that people on the north side love his business, and just want to thank staff because I know it can be a challenge to make sure that we're working with our local partners to give them these opportunities. And so I want to thank staff. Want to thank KB for stepping up, and really excited to see more things happening on West Broadway.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I'm wondering if someone on staff could, I have a question on number 18, and I'm just, what are the landowners on either side? How did this come about? Is there a plan for this? Why is the street being vacated?
Chair Osman and Councilmember Rainville. Hi. Yeah, I can speak to that. I mean, currently there's no imminent plan for a development. I believe that the applicant does intend to eventually explore development opportunities, but as a result of this vacation, the land would be split halfway down the middle and then given to each property owner, and that's just how it is expected to play out. But yeah, so in the near term, it would just be used as open space, and then in the medium term, it might be a development site.
Okay, so just to be clear, one of the property owners has advanced this idea?
Correct. Yes, the property owner at 800 Tyler Street, Northeast.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is less about the agenda. I just wanted to note to my colleagues and the public that this is Lisa Brock's last meeting for our biz committee before she retires, and I just wanted to put her on the spot a little bit, but also give her a round of applause for her time and working for this meeting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to echo Councilmember Chowdhury's comments regarding Lisa. We've been working together for quite some time, and I really appreciate the work that you have been doing as a council aide, as council staff, and now subsequently as clerk staff. Just want to thank you so much for helping to make the city a better place to live. So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Seeing none, I will move approve of the consent agenda, including amended item 17. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing for an application from Urban Works UFM for on-sale wine with strong beer, no live entertainment license. I'll ask Ben Zinnel from Business Licensing to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Welcome. You got it right again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I am License Inspector Ben Zinnel with Licenses and Consumer Services. I am presenting an application from 2929 DBT LLC, doing business as Urban Walk U of M, located at 2929 University Avenue Southeast, Suite A2 in Ward 2. Current license is a food restaurant license. The applicant is requesting an on-sale wine with strong beer with no live entertainment. Urban Walk U of M has been operating at this location since September of 2024. They are a global fusion stir-fry restaurant in the Prospect Park neighborhood that is hoping to add wine and beer to their menu. They are open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday through Saturday. They have indoor seating for 25 and outdoor seasonal seating for 8 on a private patio. On November 7th, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Prospect Park Neighborhood Association, the Dinkytown Business Association, and Councilmember Wansley. We have received one comment from the community against issuing the license, citing possible safety and livability issues. A review of the complaints, 311 calls, and police calls and operating conditions came back with no issues. The License and Consumer Service Division recommends approval of a wine and strong beer with no live entertainment for Urban Walk U of M. This concludes my presentation at this time. I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone who would like to comment or speak on this item. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brad Obert. I'm the owner at the Urban Walk, and our plan was to add beer and wine. We get requested for it a lot to make a terrific accent to our already delicious menu items, and we've been exercising this at our other stores. Because we don't have live entertainment, and this is not going to be a nightclub, closing our doors at 9 and closing our doors at 11, we haven't seen and don't anticipate having any issues because we're adding these two items to our menu.
Thank you so much for your comment. Anyone else? See none, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Allison.
Thank you. I'm happy to move approval of this item.
With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
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 And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing for an application from Rabbit Hole for on-sale liquor license in the sales, general entertainment, at 2 a.m. license. I'll ask Manager Amy Lingo from the business to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I am Manager Amy Lingo from Licenses and Consumer Services, and I'm presenting an application for 411 North Loop LLC, doing business as The Rabbit Hole. The business is located at 411 Washington Avenue North, Minneapolis, in Ward 3. This location previously held the Axe Bridge Winery. This new business is requesting an on-sale liquor license with general entertainment Sunday sales, and a 2 a.m. license. There is no current license at the location. Rabbit Hole plans to operate as an upscale celebratory bar specializing in live music, sports, and group gatherings. The facility occupies 13,966 square feet with a seating capacity of 389, including which breaks down to 257 on the indoors and 132 on the outdoors. The hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. On October 28, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises, as well as the North Loop Neighborhood Organization, the Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received one letter of support from the North Loop Neighborhood Association and two comments of concern from the community. The concerns are focusing on noise, hours of operation, and traffic and parking. A review of the complaints, 311 calls, and police calls shows no significant issues concerning this business or issuance of the license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of the on-sale with general entertainment, Sunday sales, and a 2 a.m. license. This concludes my presentation, and I stand for any comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Debar Not? Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon, council members, staff, and all members of the public here and watching at home. My name is Deepak Nath. I'm a lifelong resident and a business owner in Minneapolis for over 25 years. I'm here today with my operating business partner, Joe Berg, who also has over 20 years of experience in the hospitality industry. We are both very excited to be here today to share this, to have this opportunity to share our group's excitement to open the Rabbit Hole. We look forward to activating a vibrant social gathering space and be an asset to the North Loop neighborhood. We have a classically trained chef curating our menu, and as die-hard Vikings fans, look forward to creating a top-notch sports viewing experience with over 40 televisions as well. We appreciate your time here today and would appreciate your support and recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to comment or speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm happy to move this forward, and I welcome the new ownership, new manager to the community. There is a lot of noise issues in the North Loop, which comes with the vibrancy, so I look forward to working with you should problems ever arise. I'm not anticipating them, but should they come up, I do want to work those out with you, so please keep that into consideration.
Absolutely. We very much understand. I look forward to working together as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion from Councilmember Rainville to approve this item, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. All right. Our next item is a public hearing for application for mother for on sale with strong beer, no live entertainment license. I'll ask Manager Amy Lingo to give that presentation. Welcome.
Thank you again. Once again, I am Manager Amy Lingo from Licenses and Consumer Services, and this presentation is for the application for Mother Dough LLC, doing business as Mother Dough. This business is to be located at 205 Park Avenue in Ward 3. This business is requesting an on-sale wine with strong beer license and no live entertainment. This location currently holds a restaurant license. There is no other prior license history other than that. Mother Dough plans to enhance its Parisian cafe offerings with the sale of wine and strong beer. The facility occupies 1,961 square feet with a seating capacity of 90 in total, 61 indoors, 29 outdoors on a private elevated terrace. The hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. On October 28, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises, as well as the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association, the Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received 4 letters of support, including one from the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, and police calls show no concerns or significant issues regarding the issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Service Divisions recommends approval of an on-sale wine and strong beer license with no live entertainment. This concludes my presentation, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Elijah Fahima. Welcome.
Council members, good afternoon. My name is Elijah Fahima. I'm an operator at Mother Doe LLC. Mother Doe started about 120 years ago when my great-great-grandmother gave my grandmother starter dough, who eventually gave to my father, who carried to the United States with him with the American Dream. And we've been curating this Mother Doe, this starter dough, and utilizing it in all our breads in the past 30 years in all our restaurants. So this dream of Mother Doe Bakery offering a Parisian-style cafe culture, cafe flair to our Minneapolis community is a long time coming, 120 years in the making. Really excited. This will be our third Mother Doe. This is our third Mother Doe location with plans of a fourth, offering viennoiserie, cookies, croissants, a list of hot and cold savory items, and wine and beer to the Mill City, downtown East community. The glass of wine before the Guthrie, glass of wine at lunch, a beer after the Guthrie. And so we think it's a beautiful offering to the Mill City, which is a very nice and calm and serenity neighborhood. We're happy to be here, and thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll recognize Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Fahima, thank you so much. I'm moving to approve this. But Mr. Fahima, thank you so much for everything you and your family has brought to our community, the vibrant hospitality industry, how you employ some of the hardest to employ people in the city. You give those opportunities. But I think you should suggest perhaps having a glass of wine for breakfast as well.
Only with you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll see you this week.
Wonderful. With that motion to approve this item, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Next item we have is a public hearing for interim use for the People Shelter. The permit allows for emergency shelter within existing building located at 1803 Bryan Avenue North. I'll ask Andrew Liska from CBET to give us that presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair, council members. Again, this application before you is for an interim use permit to allow a 30-bed emergency shelter located at 1803 Bryant Avenue North, and that interim use is requested for 2 years. The subject property is located on the corner of 18th and Bryant Avenue. The structure was originally constructed as a convent. It's gone through remodels and is currently operating as a single-room occupancy use. The bedrooms associated with that single-room occupancy use are on the second floor. The main floor and basement consist of community spaces, living rooms, dining rooms, commercial kitchen, so on and so forth. The applicant is proposing to convert 2 spaces on the lower level and 1 space on the main level into that emergency shelter use. They're also working with CCS plan review and business licensing on this project. With that, staff recommends approval of this application for 2 years. I'll be here for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions? Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Will there be services offered inside the building?
There will be services offered. There is a commercial kitchen as well. None of the services offered are required.
Sure. But there'll be people, social workers, expert professionals, you're nodding your head, okay, great.
Yep, correct. And all of the individuals utilizing this use will receive referrals through Hennepin County. They won't just be showing up at the door. Only individuals where there will be a space for them will be showing up, and yes, they do have trained staff, they do have trained security, et cetera.
Wonderful, thank you very much, that's great.
Thank you. Now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing. Are there anyone who would like to comment or speak on this item? Hi, welcome. Please state your name.
My name is Kelly Martin. I am the founder of Steps of Strategy, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this. One of my passions is to bring back accountability in services where we're not just continuing to house people over and over and over without some intervention to the behaviors and the decisions that they're making. And so our hope is, with working with Hennepin County and the loss of over 250 beds in the last 2 months, that as we work with the city, we'll probably be working to open next year, and we would only offer this during the cold winter months. It will not be a year-round thing. We will not have a waiting line outside of our building. And that we will be under the direction. There'll be a clinical director on site, there'll be case managers on site, there'll be housing stabilization services on site, there'll be those things to bridge the gaps in hopes that we can stop the reoccurring homelessness. People are jumping from shelter to shelter, and that's something that my organization wants to stand a little bit differently for, that we can stop the cycle and get them into housing. We have direct access to housing, that we'll be working with Hennepin County to move forward in hopes that we can narrow some of those numbers that return to the streets, some at their own decision, because they have the right to make those. I have conferred with the church next door. I know my neighbor is here and has some questions. But again, I appreciate the opportunity to present this and hopefully continue to get some of the activity off the street by the Broadway area across the school from Ascension, where kids are every day, by bringing some intervention.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment? Hi, welcome. Oh.
Good day. My name is Betty Louise Housel-Jones. I've lived in the property 914 18th Avenue North. Across the alley, I basically own 18th. No one lives there but me. I'm the only one there at night because everything around me is an organization. I've been living there for 14 years. I've been dealing with a lot. I bought the house as a rehab project. I didn't know it was going to be a 14-year project. We have severe issues on the outside. I know you guys have heard of Broadway, but it's sad that you can refer to Cub Foods and say, you know where the crackheads are. It's a whole staff of them that stay on the other side of Bryant. They recently had to cut down the bushes because on that corner, they hide in somebody's property and get high all day. I clean up aluminum foil all day and human feces from my alley. Haven House just shut down. They were a homeless shelter that was in this facility prior to this program trying to go into there. They couldn't conform to the neighborhood. They shut down. And I'm wondering what other derelicts are going to show up because we already got a problem. Nobody's coming to help us. I call the police. Nobody shows up, like maybe an hour or two later. They got cameras. I can't go in and out my property and live privately because everybody's got cameras on my property. They watch my garage door. They watch my bedroom windows. They watch my front door. I've complained. I've asked for help from the city. They won't even ask them to move the cameras. She just notified me that they got cameras on my house. Okay, I got cameras on my house, but I'm not asking to be supervised. I understand the neighborhood is bad, and I wonder if it's gonna get worse. And what kind of accountability is the shelter going to be held to? Because me calling 311 all day is not, I got other things to do.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it.
Would you allow me to respond?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No. If there's a question. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? See none, close the public hearing and call Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you. I would be happy to have you up so that I could ask you a few questions that maybe echo my neighbors, but first to my neighbor, I just want to say, I grew up on 17th and Bryant, just a block away, born and raised there. Yeah, and still just live about 4 blocks away and go to Cub, and so I see the issues that you're talking about. I take them very seriously, and I also want to acknowledge that we've got it's kind of appropriate that this is on the agenda right as we're going to be talking about affordable housing later, right? Because we've got to deal with this continuum of housing that gets people off of the street, and I really see this as an avenue that potentially gets people off of the street. But to your point about there needing to be accountability, that also needs to be spoken to as well. And so I just wanted to echo some of your questions, and if you have the opportunity, I wanted to ask you, you've heard loud and clear, your neighbor doesn't want cameras trained on their house. Can that change? That'll be like more of a direct question. And the second is, what mechanisms of accountability do you plan to have in place? And do you have supportive needs that I can help with, or other local organizations can support you in?
Because I don't protest people having a roof over their head.
Absolutely.
I protest me taking on a second job.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. So beautifully enough, Betty used to do my hair. So Betty and I got long history, okay? She's been around me since my kids were almost out my belly. Donnell was about 2, and he's 28 now. And so surprised to see her here, and I know she can feel very secluded. One of the things that I want to say is no problem to shift the camera. It's off the back corner, and I started recording for the very same reason that if people show their face to my door and we see that recording, we're able to hold some accountability and let them know it's not okay. Where the bushes were cut down, we participated in that, and not only that, we walk over there once a day or anytime we see people coming together over there to use or whatever they're doing there. I work with Officer Brandon, Officer Ashley from the 4th Precinct, that I text pictures. I'm going to need you to come clear the grounds. There has been an improvement since we've been. That's become our corporate location. Other accountability, it's going to be, we have people that sit in the building overnight. I have somebody who stays there overnight. We have staff. I have 19 staff that are there. I have a clinical director. I have mental health professionals. I have been in this business and for over 32 years, started at R.S. Eden. I have a master's degree in public administration. I'm an old drug counselor. I've written programs for the prison. And I see all the work that we're doing for affordable housing, and what bothers me about it most is we keep spending money for people to tear down what we're working to build up. And that is where I want to take a different stand. December 1st, we're launching the Housing Institute, which is going to go back to teaching people, how do you set a thermometer? Furnaces are blowing out, causes rents to go up. I've overseen over 1,200 properties for the last 7 years. And everything isn't perfect. It's never going to be. But the one thing that we stay true to is we're working to not keep people out of eviction court, but also teach them how to live and reprioritize after being on the streets. I currently have a person staying in my building right now, so you guys can hear this publicly, that works for the Minneapolis Public Schools, that rented a car and was sleeping in her car with her 10-year-old because she can't get a place to live. So this isn't all about the people in tent encampments. This is about human beings and those that deserve the opportunity to bridge gaps. And so not everybody that comes through the shelter are chronic users, which we know how to deal with. Some are professionals that also deserve the support and attention to establish themselves and stabilize in the community.
Thank you so much for the response, and just want to say, the work is really important, and I'm glad that you highlight, we do have a a drug and fentanyl crisis in our city, and we do have a homelessness crisis in our city, and they're not a perfect circle, right? And I think often they get discussed as if they are, and thank you for being able to say right in front of your neighbor and for the public broadcast the steps that you can take and the things that you are willing to do to make sure that you're a good neighbor and to make sure that you can still adequately and healthily, give these services.
Absolutely.
We can't have a response to homelessness that tells people that they're not a part of society and then expect that they're not going to develop some antisocial behaviors. And what I hear you saying is we're going to engage people's humanity. We're going to train them how to be good neighbors and work with them, and that not everybody who's coming through your door is inherently not a good neighbor or doesn't know how to be a good neighbor. And so just want to thank you for your services. It's very needed in our city. It is both critically important work that you do this, and I understand that in the grand scheme of how many beds we're losing and how much crisis our response system is in, it can probably sometimes feel like a drop in the bucket, but I want to thank you for just the Herculean effort that you're putting in to make this court to address this issue across our city and in our city. And so
I just want to tell you, our mission is to build good neighbors.
Great.
Because it's not just about the people who are homeless, it's about the people that live there, it's about the owners, it's about the city, it's about everybody. And so we look at that exactly that way.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I'm happy to move approval of this, and I hope my colleagues will support that. And if we could exchange contact info before you leave, I'll have my staff come up here so that we can talk a little bit. I walk by that cub almost every single day. And I see the issues, and so
Do you see it dissipate?
do I see it dissipate? I mean, look, I see every corner of North Minneapolis, and I see issues ebb and flow. And I've seen corners get better. I've seen them get a lot worse. But I do think that that's an area that we can see drastic improvement on. And I have seen a lot of positive activation right in that area. Right on the other side of the block, you've got new housing. You've got this coming in, these services coming in, and so I want to work with you to make sure that you feel like you've got the support from my office to make sure that we can improve that corner. We've improved corners all across North Minneapolis before. Sometimes it can feel like whack-a-mole, but I'm not going to be hopeless. Say again?
I'm hoping for the help.
All right. Well, then let's get in touch and we'll connect.
I know, like, the Baptist church that's right on the other side of me, they had to move their electrical sockets because people are sleeping in front of their door. Won't move. They like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Plug their phones in.
So I feel you. We'll be in touch. I'm gonna make that motion for approval and thank you, the chair, for indulging me the time.
Yep, thank you so much, and thank you for your commitment, for long-term commitment to really this issue. I'm happy to see organizations and county partner and trying to create this space for folks that need the help most. And the city, our code has to reflect that, and I'm happy to support this item. I'll call Councilmember Chowdhury and then Councilmember Jenkins if you want that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate this coming before us. I think it's also important to note for the public, this is an interim use permit for 2 years, and there in and of itself, there's a set of accountability, right? Where it's like we want to see if the goals are being accomplished, both being a place of service for those in need and then being a good neighbor and then coming back to the city, evaluating and talking about future use. I also recommend to the public and then my colleagues to take a look at the staff report attachment that's given for the For the People shelter. I'm just going to read off some of the available services that they list. Housing stabilization services on-site daily, mental health therapy as scheduled, mental health support on-site daily, certified peer support on-site, treatment referrals, advocates, case managers daily, chemical health assessment, support group referral, employment and mentorship services, and housing case manager. They also highlight that their goal is to create an opportunity to exit reoccurring homelessness and reduce the harms both to community and those that they serve. And I really appreciate this. I think this is really timely, and I know as a city and a county, we're constantly grappling with having not just shelter, but the right type of shelter that can support people coming through to achieve that goal of exiting reoccurring homelessness, getting the step and the help that they need before they even have to decide to stay at an encampment, or saying you don't ever have to stay at an encampment again. And I also appreciate that this report highlights that the staff is tremendously well-trained, with about 100 years of experience between all of them and a clinical director. And I also will note, I appreciate you mentioning that you want to continue supporting working with behavioral crisis response. I would love.
That's been a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I'll just say, I might not be the council member that represents where this will be, but I am certainly interested, once you're up and running, getting a tour and understanding how this is working, because I think this type of emergency shelter, especially in Minnesota in the cold winter months, is really necessary. And I find this to be a refreshing way to look at it. So I'm excited to support this and just appreciate the conversation that we had today.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osmond, and I too am really thrilled about this. These services being offered, particularly the wraparound supportive services, and I'll be really brief because I think all of my questions got answered. I was going to ask what your background, but you laid out your extensive background. And then subsequently was going to ask the neighbor, what can we do? But Council Member Ellison has made that offer to really listen and help to create a positive situation. So happy to support this, I guess, project today.
Thank you, Councilman.
Wonderful. Thank you. See none. I will call council. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have a public hearing for children health care authorizing tax exempt revenue bond. I'll ask Becky Shaw from CBED at that presentation to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Osmond and committee members. I'm Becky Shaw from Business Development, part of CPED. You have before you a request to authorize the issuance of up to $221 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds for children's health care systems. The bonds will be issued jointly by the City of Minneapolis and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority of the City of St. Paul to refinance outstanding City of Minneapolis and St. Paul Series 2020A bonds, to finance an electronic record system, renovations, improvements, equipment, and issuance costs for projects located in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnetonka, and Edina. Improvements specific to the Minneapolis facility include at the Children's 2525 Chicago Avenue, renovations and upgrades to the emergency room, labs, purchase of capital equipment, electrical systems upgrades, a new medical record system, and parking lot repairs. In addition, bond proceeds will be used to finance the purchase of 2504 Columbus Avenue to be used temporarily as a warehouse during construction and renovations to store equipment and supplies. As with all revenue bonds, the funds will come from bondholders purchasing the bonds, not the City of Minneapolis. The borrower will be responsible for repayment of the bonds, not the city or its assets. And I do have individuals here from Children's Project, and this concludes my presentation, and I'll stand for any questions you have.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing, and if anyone would like to speak, you can come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and also like to make a comment that, Children's Hospital offers a lot of great things to our community. It's located right in my ward, and the place they are looking for to upgrade is much needed area that needs, to make sure that they make this renewal and keep up with the services and the demand of our neighborhood. I met the staff of Children's Hospital, Children's Healthcare staff, and had a great conversation with them. And I will approve this item. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing for Catholic Elder Care authorizing host approval revenue bond. I'll ask Becky Shaw from CPED for that presentation. Welcome back.
Good afternoon. You have before you a request to authorize host approval for the issuance of up to $10 million in bank-qualified revenue bonds by the City of Lauderdale, Minnesota, for financing renovations and improvements to Catholic Elder Care's facilities located at 817 Main Street Northeast and 149 8th Avenue Northeast. The proposed project includes up to $10 million in renovations and improvements to the Catholic Elder Care on Main and transitional care facilities, including new HVAC systems, roof replacement, exterior improvements, and issuance costs. Municipalities, including the City of Minneapolis, are authorized to issue up to $10 million in bank-qualified revenue bonds per calendar year. The City of Minneapolis has already issued our full $10 million allocation in 2024 for another Minneapolis project. Catholic Elder Care has kindly requested that the City of Minneapolis grant host approval to the City of Lauderdale, Minnesota, to issue $10 million in bank-qualified bonds from their 2024 allocation to finance the renovations and improvements to these two Minneapolis facilities. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and see if anyone would like to comment on this item. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and see if there's any council members who would like to make a motion. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is in my ward, and I'm very proud to make a motion to approve this. Catholic Elder Care has taken tremendous care of my neighbors, my family, including my mother, and it's a wonderful, wonderful facility. I'm so proud to have that in the city and in Ward 3. So with that, I encourage my fellow council members to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. With that motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We will now move to on our discussion items. We have the 2024 Affordable Housing Trust Fund Award recommendation, which identify 11 projects. I'll ask Carrie Goldberg from CPED to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Osman and members of the committee. I'm Carrie Goldberg, and I'm with CPED Residential Finance, and I'm here to present the recommendations for the 2024 Affordable Housing Trust Fund Program. The Trust Fund Program is the city's largest program that assists in financing the production and preservation of affordable and mixed-income rental housing projects with 10 or more units, and with at least 20% of the units affordable to households at or below 50% of the area median income. The city received 25 applications this year, which is a record, requesting just over $42.6 million. Staff is recommending approval of 11 projects for trust fund awards that total $17 million. The trust fund notice of funding availability, also known as the NOFA, contains the criteria established to assist staff in evaluating an application's completeness and financial viability. All applications are analyzed using the Affordable Housing Trust Fund underwriting standards and criteria that are approved by the City Council. Staff analyzes the project's sources and uses, financial gaps, the management and operating budget and expenses, the project's reserves and cash flow. The project's viability informs whether the project is ready to move forward in comparison to other projects and putting our trust fund dollars to use more quickly by getting affordable units constructed sooner. Construction cost increases, interest rate increases, and lower tax credit pricing all continue to present challenges to securing full project funding and beginning construction timely. In addition, increased management and operating expenses have significantly impacted sustainable solvency of affordable housing projects. Increased insurance costs, increased security costs, high staff turnover, and revenue losses due to vacancies or unpaid rents have strained the capacity and continued operations of numerous existing projects and for developers. The NOFA also contains the criteria established to assist staff in reviewing and evaluating and scoring the applications. All applications are scored and ranked according to the selection criteria. It's important to note that scoring is only one component of the evaluation for award recommendations. Lower ranking applications may be recommended for funding over higher ranking applications based on project readiness, prior awards, or other committed funding or other criteria as indicated in the NOFA, such as any of the underwriting issues that I already mentioned. Before I highlight the projects being recommended today for awards, I'd like to highlight the success reflected in the numbers on this slide. They are a result of the priorities and policies that are included in the trust fund program. In order to be competitive for funding, projects must include deep affordability, support services, rental assistance, homelessness, larger units, and more. These are all goals that are incentivized in the scoring. These next several slides will highlight the projects being recommended and are more fully described in the RCA, and you also have an attachment that has project data worksheets that describe all of these projects as well. The first project being recommended is Cheatham Apartments. This will be a newly constructed and adaptive mixed income project that provides a large number of 2- and 3-bedroom units for families. This project received a partial award last year and is receiving the remaining qualifying amount of $2,255,000. Downtown View PPL Youth Link. This is a rehabilitation project that is converting several quad units into studios and 1-bedrooms to address the unique needs of homeless youth who are struggling in a community setting. This project is receiving $1,465,000. 2116 Nicollet is a new construction mixed-use development with a significant number of permanent, supportive, deeply affordable housing units for people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And this project is receiving $1,070,000. NAC Housing is a new construction mixed-use project being co-developed and co-owned by the Native American Community Clinic and Wellington Management. This project will expand the NAC Clinic and provide a significant number of deeply affordable large family housing units. This project also received a partial award last year and is receiving the remaining qualifying amount of $1,145,000. The Upper Harbor Terminal Parcel 6A is a new construction, 6-story, 183-unit apartment building and is the first phase of the development on the Upper Harbor Terminal site, which is a city-owned site and high-priority area. The project includes a significant number of deeply affordable housing units, 55 of which will have rental assistance and also 10 units that are reserved for homelessness. This project has received prior partial awards and is receiving the remaining qualifying amount of $1,295,000. 1345 Central is the first phase of the redevelopment of the former Youngblood lumber site. This project consists of newly constructed building with a significant number of affordable large family housing units, and this project is receiving $2,480,000. Epic R is a new construction mixed-use project on another city-owned site with a significant number of affordable large family units. This project is in the early phase of securing its financing and is receiving a partial award today of $1,500,000. Zaria Apartments is the second phase of the 3030 Nicollet redevelopment site, which suffered damage during the civil unrest in 2020. This project consists of a significant number of affordable large family units, and this project is also in the early phase of securing financing and is also receiving a partial award of $1,250,000. Warren Apartments is a new construction affordable housing project with a significant number of large family units. I also want to note that this project is being done by Premier Development. It was misidentified on the project data worksheet, so I wanted to just make that clarification. And it's also receiving an award of $2,200,000. Claire 5 is a new construction, 100% deeply affordable, supportive housing project for seniors and people at risk of homelessness with HIV and AIDS. This project is receiving $1,205,000. And lastly, we have Claire Apartments Preservation. This is an emergency stabilization project to preserve and rehabilitate existing deeply affordable permanent supportive housing units for people who are suffering from HIV and AIDS, and it is receiving $1,120,000. I do think all of the applicants, all 25 projects that submitted, deserve a round of thanks for working so hard to submit these applications. It is a heavy lift. It's a lot of work. I also want to thank our team for reviewing and scoring all of those applications to bring these recommendations to you today. Each year, the projects get stronger and stronger for our community.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osmond. Wow, these are some really great projects. I'm just curious, the Clear projects, and I know one is a sort of a rehab, I guess. But are they also receiving HOPWA funding as well? Do you know?
I do not know if they've received HOPWA at this time or if they've applied. I think Phoebe is here, who could maybe answer that question if you don't mind her stepping up.
Hello, council members. I'm Phoebe Trepp, Executive Director at Claire Housing. Claire 1, the last project, Project 11, has received HOPWA dollars through the competitive process, and we are in year 19 of operating at this building. Claire 5, the one we looked at just prior, this is the first funding award we've received for Claire 5, so we will be applying for HOPWA dollars to get the full amount of money we need to build Claire 5. Hopefully that answered it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Allison, are you done?
Well, that's
Sorry.
it. I mean, I am thrilled about the Phase 2 PPL project that is happening in Ward 8. Will there be commercial space in this project as well?
On the Zaria Apartments?
Yes.
Yes, it's a mixed-use development.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Allison.
Just wanted to, as always, thank our staff, and I feel like it becomes a little bit of a reflex just to say thank you to staff. So, Ms. Goldberg, thank you so much for all of your work. But I think it's especially important to thank our staff for the work that they're doing now because of the situation we find ourselves in. I feel like as a council, we're hearing sort of the precarious situation that housing is going to be in moving into the future. Here we have our resource with a record number of applications, just showing how much our community and our folks across the city want to be building affordable housing. And yet we're going to be in a situation maybe in the next couple of years. I think the budget next year is 3.5 versus this 17 that we've been able to put in. And I know that Angie and her team have found some more money that they were able to put in, that extra $9 million, I think, to be spent over multiple years. And so, I just want to put that in perspective for my colleagues, just to say, every single year, our staff are working with, sometimes with a lot of resources, sometimes with waning resources to make these projects happen, and that we should always have, I think, a really lucid and intimate understanding of what it takes for you all to make these projects go from ideas in somebody's mind into real assets for people who live in our communities and who live in our city. And so just wanted to say thank you to the whole housing team. Thank you especially, and I continue to look forward, and I know that my colleagues hopefully share this in how we can continue to equip you all. Our housing team, I think, is one of the greatest assets we have here at the city, with the kind of resources and tools and ideas that you need in order to make affordable housing happen possible in our city. So I know that it takes a lot, not just our housing team, but you all, for us, is sort of the center of this thing, and you're really holding it down. So thank you for all the work and for these recommendations here today.
Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you so much, Chair Osmond. Thanks. This is really exciting work. And my question is really about the timeline here and when we can expect the development to take place, and also how does the rollout of the funding work in terms of when they receive the funding? Is it lump sum, or is it over the course of time?
So these projects can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to assemble all the financing necessary to put the capital stack together for the construction of the project. So we'll continue working with these projects. We are providing just one piece of that financing. When the funding rolls out, that is when the project closes, and the city will not close on a project until all financing has been secured. This is a deferred loan program that goes 30 years, and all of the affordability requirements are required to remain in place for 30 years. When the project begins construction, we have a team of people who monitor the project monthly, and we review the monthly draws, and we disperse the funds in accordance with the requirements of the program itself.
Thank you so much. It sounds like, with receiving this award, they'll have a much higher probability of gaining other financing sources. So it's really great that we're part of that, incubation of their project and getting them off on a strong footing.
Yes, we contribute to that a lot, and I can tell you that all of these projects are very grateful for the attention, the funding that you all give to this program.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you. My comments is that I'm seeing like 3-4 bedrooms, and which is really good. There's a lot of large families, and having 4 bedrooms being built is really a good thing. When you talk to the developers, they're like, oh, there's no benefit having 4 units, but as families grow, I think it's super important to have that. I want to actually highlight, American Indian Community Clinic. It's located in Ward 6. They have been working very hard, advocating for through the state to get the funding, and it will be a wonderful addition to Franklin and Native American community having this forward. So the staff, thank you again for your work for the entire year and this process bringing forward. Councilmember Rainville, before I do that, I will approve this item. I'll move this item for approval. Councilmember.
Thank you.
Rainville, yes.
And I do want to thank all the staff who took the time to speak with me about my questions on this, and also just say out loud that in the future, we're probably going to do a lot more rehabilitation dollars as opposed to new construction. It's very clear that a lot of this housing that was built 15, 20, 25 years ago, we need to improve and put money on it. The Clear Housing project is probably the best example of that. Broken elevator needs to be fixed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So thank you for your time to help educate me. I'm still relatively new at this job. I don't know everything, and I rely on your knowledge and your grace. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for your presentation and work. I'm certainly very elated to see progress moving on the Cheatham Apartments in Ward 12, where I represent. I just had one quick question. I see in many of these projects we have a designation of homeless units. I was hoping if you could speak to what that is defined as for our city, and then If there is some supportive work for those individuals that'll be coming into those units, like how are they coming into the units, being referred, and then the thought process around wraparound services, if that's a discussion there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. Yes, so the homeless units are an incentive in the trust fund program. So when those units are proposed in a project, they are restricted in the written agreement, and so they are required to remain homeless. They are filled through coordinated entry, and a lot of times they either have a public housing voucher or a housing support voucher or assistance that will provide the supportive services and rental assistance in filling that unit and meeting the needs of the tenant in that unit.
Great. Thank you. I think that covers the answer to my question. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, with that motion to approve this item, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Lastly, we have the preliminary reservation of the year 2025 9% low-income housing tax credits. This is for the housing project located at 2116 Nicollet Avenue South. I'll ask Emily Carr from CBED for that, to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Osman, council members. I don't know how to make this full screen. I guess I should have done the PowerPoint, not the PDF. But I'm Emily Carr. I'm a supervisor in residential finance, and I'm here today to present our annual 9% housing tax credit recommendations. Every year, CPED administers an allocation of 9% low-income housing tax credits, or HTCs, acting on behalf of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Housing Finance Board. The Housing Tax Credit Program provides a reduction in federal tax liability to investors in low-income rental housing developments that comply with federal imposed rent and income restrictions for a minimum of 30 years. The City Council approved a 2-year Qualified Allocation Plan, or QAP, and procedural manual for this year's Notice of Public Funding Availability back in May 2023. The QAP establishes the scoring and selection criteria for the Housing Tax Credit Program. The program timeline is similar to the trust fund, and applications for this year's housing tax credits were due on July 25th. This year, CPED is administering an allocation of about $1.5 million in year 2025 9% credits within the city of Minneapolis. This year, the city received 3 applications requesting approximately $4 million in tax credits. The summary list of projects, amount of tax credits requested, and unit breakdown is shown in the report's attached 2025 housing tax credit application summary. The applications were scored according to the scoring criteria established in the adopted QAP. Scoring for each project is summarized in the attached 2025 housing tax credit scoring summary exhibit. The top 2 scoring projects this year, 2116 Nicollet and Claire 5, each received a housing tax credit score of 90. According to the QAP, if projects are deemed substantially equivalent, the project that best meets the city's housing priorities should be awarded the credits. To determine that, staff reviewed each project's Affordable Housing Trust Fund score and project readiness. Based on this, staff is recommending that 2116 Nicollet be awarded the credits since it had a higher trust fund score at 117 points. Just a bit more about 2116 Nicollet. It's a proposed new construction project by Alliance Housing in Ward 10. It will have 53 units and SROs. 41 of those units will be affordable at 30% AMI and 12 units at 50% AMI. It has committed funding from Hennepin County, committed rental assistance, and sponsor-based operating assistance from Minneapolis Public Housing Authority. It was also recommended for a trust fund award. It will provide low-barrier housing to serve low-income individuals, people exiting homelessness and at risk of homelessness, and people with disabilities. Services will be provided on-site by Simpson Housing, and 11 units will be filled through coordinated entry. I'd like to thank all the applicants for their work on commitment to providing affordable housing in our community, and that concludes my presentation. I am happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call Councilmember Allison.
I'll make the motion to approve staff's recommendation, and then just, again, I know these are similar comments to before, but just thank you for your work on this, and yeah, we've got a lot of work ahead of us in the city in terms of preserving affordable housing, as Councilmember Rainville talked about, and some challenges in terms of new build, both in the affordable realm, and we've already seen market rate housing sort of take a little bit of a halt, but yeah, this is critically important work, and so just want to thank staff for all the work you do to make sure that we get the best projects in front of us and see them built. So thank you.
With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. With that being the last item, and this being the last meeting, I really want to take the time to thank all staff. Amazing work. It's been a year. Really wonderful work. All of you, thank you for your service and for your commitment. I especially want to thank my Chair Allison, who guided me through this, and also Director Hansen for his leadership and commitment and work. And for all, Lisa, who has been here for a long time, thank you for your service for the city, and we're going to miss you. All right, see none. I see no further business before us. With no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.